what you want to do. Do what you want to do. Do what you want to do. Do what you want to do.
Good afternoon, my name is Dan Tate and I'm here from Pioneer Europe, and I'm very, very excited to be joined by Mr. DJ Yoda.
Hello.
Please put your hands together. You kick it off. Tell us how it all started. First decks and mixer.
From the very start, when it was just turntables and a kind of a big clunky mixer, when I was making DJ mixes, I would put in audio samples from movies that I liked. So I also collect a lot of records from soundtracks like Star Wars records and Scarface or whatever. And I would scratch audio from movies. So I was always just as inspired by movies as I was by music. So before any of this technology existed, the first thing that I would do would be re-soundtrack films. So I did some gigs where they would, I kind of worked out a whole DJ set to go with Ferris Bueller's Day Off. I did some gigs in cinemas actually where they kind of showed the whole film, and I just worked out a DJ set where the song would change every time the scene changed. So it just it came naturally to me to want to kind of marry up DJing with movies.
So I mean, whereas most hip-hop DJs, they'd be crate digging for those little tiny samples, sounds, DJ Rectangle records and things like that.
Yeah.
You were actually no, I think I can carve myself out,
Well, always
a nice niche here of, just getting all this original content.
That kind of scratch scene of the 90s where it got really nerdy and kind of battles and turntables and all that stuff. People were digging around for sounds to scratch, but always when I was digging for records, the first section that I would go to would be the spoken word, the movie soundtracks, the kids' records, just to find something that sounded a bit different. In my head, when I was scratching bits from movies, I could see the video going back and forth as I was scratching it in my head, but the technology wasn't there yet.
So fast forward, you've got your first decks, you've been finding these scratch samples. I mean, but then, and you're watching in your head the movies going backwards and forwards. Now, what was a kind of breakthrough technology for you that?
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt. One thing that happens very suddenly was the DVJs, which was basically, I mean, for those that don't know it, it's a CDJ, but you could put DVDs in it, and that concept just blew my mind straight away. The fact that you could put in a DVD back and forth on the platter, and the movie moves with the sound. And I just, for about a month, actually when I got hold of it, when I first got hold of a DVJ, for a month, I just sat there and just wow. I can't even do anything productive yet. I just still am in wow mode. And that just changed everything, because I was like, okay, now I can DJ with my movie collection. And what I quickly started to work out is that, especially for scratching, as opposed to mixing stuff, anything with big kind of drastic light movements is the stuff that's going to look good on a massive screen, especially at 3 a.m. at a club or whatever. So something like try and find a bit of lightsaber action. Perfect. So, and it's got the sound as well, because I'm also thinking about this, the lightsaber sound is going to sound good to scratch, but when you just it's just good.
It's just great.
And it's even better when there's a massive screen and it's dark and that everyone's focused on that screen. So I started thinking about samples in a different way, in a more visual way. And then I also realized, well, this is a really good way to kind of make a themed set. So, if I'm DJing on a Halloween, then I can get out all my horror movies and find the best horror scenes and do a whole set of horror stuff. Or, maybe one time I might want to do an all black and white kind of film noir gangster set. And also starting to think about, well, if I'm using that particular bit of a movie, which music's going to work well with that? Because I can totally flip that. That movie's from the 70s, but I might know a drum and bass song that's going to work really well with that particular movie scene. So it just totally changed the way that I thought about putting together DJ sets.
I mean, because it also works in another really nice way with spoken word. Now, I know that there's some particularly epic moments that I've seen in your sets of The Simpsons being cut up. And can you demonstrate some spoken word stuff? I'm putting him on the spot here.
Yeah, you are putting me on the spot. Let me. Okay, this is one bit that I always like to. So if you like stop all the music in the club, and then just.
Now ready. Still ready. Wax on, wax off, wax on, wax off, wax on, wax off, wax on, wax off, wax off.
So it's just about finding any cool bits from a film. It's really good fun apart from anything else.
I used to do DVJ stuff myself, and I just love that fusion where art meets music and where it can actually work in the club.
I think that what's quite interesting with all the AV side of the technology is because it's moving very fast. It's not kind of settled yet in a way that there's an industry standard in the same way there is for audio DJ equipment. So there's a lot of different ways of approaching it, and at the moment, anyway, most people I know that are using it are doing something completely different. And I really like that. I hope it stays like that for as long as possible, and it doesn't just settle into, everyone just does that. And now the whole set is from YouTube, because when I started with the DVJs, it was all just what DVDs I had. But then as the technology moved on, obviously now I'm using Serato video, so I'm scratching with MP4s, not DVDs. And that means just anything on the internet is fair game. And what used to be digging in like record stores, like rifling through dusty records and all that, is now YouTube. And it's almost a bit daunting because it's all there. Like anything you could ever want to scratch or mix in a set is just there. You just got to type it in. And sometimes it's actually I just sit down and just think, what's cool? Like, where do you start?
Okay, I mean, let's weave this kind of back into the technologies. So basically, year dot, first decks, mixer, belt drive, Tandy, made to fade, whatever you want to call it. Then the DVJs and the SVM. Mm-hmm. And obviously the SVM came laden with... The SVM was... for those that don't know, I mean, if you want to explain...
The SVM is the mixer, like the first kind of audio-video mixer that Pioneer made to work with the DVJs. It was like basically being behind the Starship Enterprise or whatever. It was this huge beast of a mixer. I mean, it took two people to carry it. It was a real hassle to get around. But then... I got into Serato more, and in fact, at one point, my setup was this SVM mixer, 2 DVJs either side of it, and then 2 turntables either side of that, and then a laptop running Serato. So I had this kind of 6 feet worth of buttons to go through. Now it's so much tighter.
I mean, where are we at now? I mean, because we've got it all just framed here. What's going on here, and how does this piece of equipment change?
Well, what came between the two is probably easy to explain first. Was just Serato video. Serato has got this video plug-in so that you can use MP4s instead of MP3s. So I had 2 turntables, a mixer, and the laptop, and then the records were controlling the video. And now there's this thing, which is the SX, where basically it's all of that just built into one box.
So was this quite difficult? I mean, because I know that there's probably a lot of sort of vinyl diehards out there. Was it quite difficult to go from like learning on something that was so intrinsically part of your past to something like
I've always tried to keep up on what's coming out for new technology anyway, not for the sake of it, but just if something comes out that I think, I can do something new with that, then it's worth using. I don't just jump on the latest mixer because it's new. But this brought with a few things with it that I thought, I can't do that with the turntables. So suddenly there's something interesting going on.
Okay, come on then.
Uh-oh. Okay. Which just increases the mixing opportunities. Basically, anything will mix with anything.
You can seg anything from. You could go from hip hop into dubstep into drum and bass.
Which is really useful. But probably the best thing about this for me was these cue point buttons, because it's like having an MPC. It's almost like producing music, but you can really bang out just. It's like you can't do that with turntables. It's really just hands-on, and it's much more like doing like something live than just playing a record. So that's a pretty cool feature of it. And the loops and the effects, and also Serato's got all kind of video effects now. So it's quite good to be able to, if I feel like a video is getting boring, then I can just add it. There's loads of effects like that to throw in as well. So I'm all about just keeping busy and not just letting something play.
Okay, I mean, because there's one side of it where obviously you're Yoda the DJ, and then you're Yoda the producer, but then there's the other side where you've actually had to learn some pretty hardcore kind of film and kind of video skills.
I don't know how to use Final Cut Pro, which would probably be the most typical video editing software. I've just found something that's much more simple, easier for beginners, and it's allowed me to do something like this. So I'll show you the kind of way that I might mix records. Is if you take, okay, here's like a kind of a music video, as it is normally.
Roll the red carpet out. 10 commandments, 24 hours. The 13th floor was missing in the towers. I thought I shouldn't be here, but stayed an extra day because they said it's leap year.
So then if I took that video, find a song that had a cappella, and then just use the editing software to just marry up the a cappella with the video so that it takes the music away, but you've still got the video. So what I'm left with is something like this. 10 commandments, 24 hours. The 13th floor was missing in the towers.
I thought I shouldn't be here, but stayed an extra day because they said it's leap year.
And then I've got that to mix in the club now. So for instance, usually mix that with like a drum and bass thing. So it might be something like.
The 13th floor was missing in the towers. I thought I shouldn't be here, but stayed an extra day because they said it's leap year. Who's the wolf in sheep's clothing? Fuck it, the rabbit hit the drum and kept going. Each word is the church and minister. Approach, I coerce the listener. So listen up. Hitting park bench rhythms up till I vision the flow. I stay at home, sitting visitor. Radio, I visit station nights. It's kinda like they fucking visitation rights. This ain't the place for my face and lights. I'm tight driven, living in the fucking shadowless light. I dilate like pay attention. Slow flow just arose when mentions. I didn't die lately, I just slept on bed springs. Can't define people, I just see dead things. It ain't just rap, I body ladies in one line. Talking slick to 3 chicks on text at one time. I see shattered words, they left broken pieces. Lines undone, half uncompleted. To be continued, ... Cliffhanger, my life is like I'm scaling the rhymes.
Get the idea.
Gnarly, love it.
Oh, yeah.
There's quite an intellectual side to what you do, even though I don't know how much you intend it. And then there's the party side. Do you find that it's difficult? Are they fighting one another? Or
it took me a few years to work out the balance, especially the first few years that I was using movie stuff in clubs. I think the mistake I was making to begin with is that it was quite a stop-start kind of show, because there were so many bits from movies with spoken word where I wanted to just stop the music and just play that bit and then like let everyone hear that and then bring the music back in again. But what I started to realize is that this DJing like this has to work in 2 different ways. It has to work so that for people that are ignoring the screen, they can just dance.
Right.
You could, like, not everyone's going to stay riveted to a screen in a club. People want to talk, they want to buy drinks, like let them live their lives, but also be able to dance. But at the same time, I wanted it to be interesting enough that you could just sit and watch it.
Okay. I mean, with the SX though, it's something that's relatively new to you. I mean, why did you leave it over the turntables? Is it? because of what it offered you?
I think it's the effects side of it. I like these kind of like rolls and slices that you can do. I'll show you that quickly just to give you an idea of what that is. It's great for like cutting stuff up and just making it a bit more interesting, and yeah, things like that is what's really sold me to this SX. I can't go out and perform the same show week in, week out because that would bore me to tears. So I just need to have it available that if I'm in the mood to play like 1930s speakeasy music, then I can do that one night, or if I'm feeling more in the mood for like electro-y stuff the next week, then I can do that. So I just try and keep it so that it's adaptable and flexible so that I'm interested.
I mean, let's just touch on that, because obviously with a hip-hop background, I mean, I don't want to use the expression bass music, but really, I mean, do you think that you've really expanded where you go musically now? Different tempos, or have you always been like that?
I've kind of always been like that. Like, to my thinking, that's what hip-hop is that hip-hop takes every other kind of music and then just makes something new out of it. And it's the same idea with all this video stuff. You can just take your influences, whatever they are, and create something new. So if I find that, you know, there's like, oh, it'd be really cool to play a Dolly Parton song in between all this stuff, then I've got a way of doing it, because you can just kind of find a way to scratch it in or mix it in, and it works with the video really well, that.
So, I mean, so, you know, you've always been on the kind of cutting edge. I mean, what's next? I mean, we've just had the Chop Suey album. You've made all the original tracks for it. You know, where's that head of yours darting off to now?
The next thing I've got coming out is a new mixtape, How to Cut and Paste, the Asian edition. So it's all Asian-related beats and samples and music. So I just like theming stuff because it gives me a way to kind of collect it all and make it a unit. So that's the next thing to come out music-wise. But as far as the next thing technology-wise, I think that the kind of obvious next step with all the video stuff, but we're not there yet, is 3D. Because that's kind of like, I mean, that's what happens when you go to the movies now. But I just think the technology is not quite there. I don't like the idea of everyone wearing glasses, especially not in a club. I think that once the technology is there, that the 3D will just look like that on the screen without you having to put on glasses. I can imagine that being amazing in a club environment, because if you think of a room with a massive screen at the front, and then you've got like a Harrier fighter plane just kind of scratching in and out of people's heads and stuff, and that sounds pretty amazing. I think we're a way off it, but I think that's probably what's next.